So guys, yesterday when we were streaming on Twitch, I started to vent my frustrations. You see, we just came out of a weekend with Halo Infinite, and I gotta say, Halo's PvP is looking pretty nice. Matter of fact, we actually have an impression video on how Halo felt this weekend going out here pretty soon, but I wanted to focus on Destiny 2, because immediately, when going from Halo to Destiny, and I know they're two different games, but it's easy to compare the two considering Bungie used to make Halo. Now, upon playing Crucible yesterday, and more specifically Iron Banner, I started to vent my frustrations, bringing up the fact that I really did have uncertainty for Destiny's PvP. And if PvP didn't see revamps, new game modes, new maps, and potentially more sandbox changes to limit some of the craziness that's inside of Crucible, that Destiny PvP overall was on track to die. Now, this brought out a lot of PvE players because, again, what's often said by PvE players is that Destiny 2 would be better off being a PvE game, which blows my mind, by the way, because the entire reason why Destiny 2 is as unique as it is, why it outlasts other live service games, is because the gameplay loop that's present inside of Destiny. You go inside of PvE, you do raids, you even do Master Mode Vault of Glass, the hardest Grandmaster content, just so you can get a God Roll Palindrome or a Fatebringer or some other weapon to bring inside of Crucible to give you an edge, and vice versa. There was oftentimes you had to go inside of PvP to do quests, to earn pinnacles, and many PvE players would slug through those things because they knew those weapons were dominant inside of PvE. This game is not a PvE or a PvP game. And matter of fact, I would actually say neither one of those could stand on their own 2 feet. If it was ever to just become a dedicated PvP game, Destiny to me would die. And if it was just to become just a PvE game, I do think that Destiny would die as well. It needs both. And I've been playing this game since 2014, and I could tell you, I've equally taken part in both PvE and in PvP. And the magic is that both of those harmonize so well together. With that being said, Joe Blackburn came out today, who is the assistant game director for Destiny 2. My understanding, he's pretty much running everything right now. He's a very hands-on kind of guy. He plays Destiny all the time. You see him in raids, you see him in Grandmasters. He's a gamer. Needless to say, though, he began by talking about that ahead of the showcase this month that they were going to be talking about Destiny's PvP. He stated that competitive modes are part of what makes this game special, and that he couldn't imagine a version of Destiny 2 that doesn't involve getting a sweet new gun and taking it for a spin inside of Crucible, which I completely agree with. It's amazing when you get a gun inside of PvE and it turns out to be one of the most meta weapons inside of PvP. Now, it continues by saying that this year, the team has been focused really on plussing up the current Crucible experience. You've seen it in things like the stasis balancing, reputation updates, and shifting weapons meta, which he is right. We had 2 back-to-back sandbox changes in a single season. But he goes on to continue that next season, you'll see this effort with not only changes to 3 peaking, but also what the team has been planning for in revamping Trials of Osiris. And that tuning in on August the 24th, which should be the same day that Witch Queen is going to be shown off, we'll be able to see that. Now, he states that we have to keep our foot on the gas when it comes to revitalizing PvP pursuits and keeping gameplay metas fresh. And he puts in quotations that this isn't something we'll ever be done with. But we know we also have room to grow when it comes to new maps and modes. So the first half of 2021, we've been working on the foundation, but now we're spinning up teams on new maps and modes. We believe in this investment, but it is going to take some time before you start seeing results in the game. The ultimate goal here is consistency. If you play PvP, the team wants you to understand that you'll be getting new maps and modes every year, and that the cadence of those coming out feels predictable. But in order to get predictable, we need to open the faucet first. Now, he states that new maps take time to get right, so to open the faucet for Season 16, the team is working on porting 2 vaulted Destiny 2 maps to be compatible with our engine updates. And this is the big one. This is the tweet that needs to be said over and over again by Bungie, and it was a narrative that was lost last year. So from Joe himself, when we upgraded our engine with Beyond Light, it means we had to hand port all of our Destiny 2 maps and modes. So while it may seem from the outside like we're just pushing a button, there's a significant lift from the team to get more of this content back in rotation. Guys, this is extremely important. You remember that video we made last year? Essentially saying why Destiny 2 Beyond Light was essentially Destiny 3. No, it wasn't the wipe that jumping to a new game would have been, but think about the subclasses. Europa, sunsetting of gear, as well as a number of maps and locations that were vaulted. The narrative that was lost, though, was why it was actually vaulted. It was vaulted because Bungie was upgrading Destiny 2's engine. I find that this is vitally important. You see, a lot of people may have read that long write-up from Luke Smith earlier last year that spelled out what they were planning to do, but the context of the Destiny content vault was lost, and a lot of people just assumed that Bungie was just removing content to just remove content, which is exactly why we took so much heat last year when bringing up the fact of why the Destiny content vault exists and the engine upgrades that were coming to Destiny 2 Beyond Light, which is exactly why you're able to see 2 back-to-back sandbox changes occur within a single season. Now, there's obviously bugs that still roll out here and there. Regardless, though, a major engine upgrade went out with Beyond Light, and to me, I feel like that was a narrative that was lost. Thus, no one really understood why Destiny content vault had to exist. Now, Joe continues that after reprised maps in Season 16, Season 17 will come with a brand new map. There are a bunch of new environmentals in Destiny 2, and we're excited to start bringing them into the Crucible. Finally, after those 3 maps are added to the rotation in 16 and 17, we'll be remastering a Destiny 1 map and bringing it to Destiny 2 for the first time in Season 18. Again, this is way off. Without a doubt, these maps needed to be here now. But Joe continues that all this effort is going to be done in parallel with the team looking to fund the far future with a predictable roadmap of maps in Lightfall and beyond. But maps are just part of the recipe here. We also know we need to support modes, and that there are 3 main efforts going on behind the scenes here. First, the team is investigating getting Rift in Destiny 2 next year. It's been too long since we've dunked on some Guardians. By the way, this was a game mode back in D1, a very fun game mode where an orb would sit in the middle, you would pick it up, and you would have to dunk it in an enemy's base. Simultaneously, you have to protect whoever it is that is carrying that orb. Now, they say that the Destiny sandbox has sped up in Destiny 2, and right now the team is validating that the mode still holds up with our new gameplay. Second, the team is working on multiple brand new modes for 2022. We aren't quite ready to spoil these yet, but we're excited to offer new twists and rules to the ways you can make Shaxx proud. Finally, after the dust settles on Trials update in Season 15, we want to look at what other broad systematic improvements the PvP ecosystem needs. We want to provide something on the scale of this Trials rework to players every year. So this is something Bungie's talking about doing annually. So when we get the roadmap alongside Witch Queen and Lightfall and beyond, in those roadmaps should include a set of PvP updates. Now, Joe concludes that this tweet has turned into a bit of a tweet novel, but I wanted to make sure we shed some light to what's going on behind the scenes here. Overall, we're still very interested in growing the amount of Destiny we make every year. One way to hold me accountable is by looking at our careers page. We're looking for artists, gameplay designers, lighting artists, and more to help improve our PvP output. We know you want more Destiny, and we are committed to growing the teams that's going to make that possible. It's always risky to talk about what's in the oven as dates and specifics might change, but it's been a while since we talked PvP, and we want players to know that we're working on content for all those Guardians who like to spend time with Shaxx and the Red Jacks. Guys, I know these are just tweets, and I do believe in action, but there is something to be said here. The fact that they are hiring. Bungie is hiring. And if they're spending money on salaries, that is a good sign. My only concern is that they are hiring a bunch of artists and gameplay designers. How many of those are focused on PvP? And on top of that, is there any PvP specific hirings occurring? If you remember, Destiny used to have a dedicated PvP team. Granted, it gave us a double primary system, so it did not actually align with Destiny's formula. And matter of fact, if you actually look at year 1 of Destiny 2, you can see the Halo-esque Crucible layout that those developers were trying to put forth, but it just didn't jive with Destiny. I would say that this thread, I like it simply because I like Joe. Joe seems to address us directly, and I like that. However, after playing Halo specifically this past weekend, I think a lot of PvP games, especially arena shooters, are in for a big wake-up call. And Bungie in Destiny 2 has kind of been shielded because there's no other game like Destiny. On top of that, all the other PvP games that have been coming out for years now have all tried to capture battle royales. If Destiny 2 wants to continue to succeed, and PvE players should want this, PvP is going to have to receive frequent updates alongside PvE. Both sides of the game need each other. Hopefully the revamp here coming to Trials of Osiris starting next season is going to be significant enough to get people playing. Outside of that, guys, let me know your thoughts. I think overall, I'm kind of past the point of saying I'm hopeful, although I am optimistic simply because I like who's steering the ship here for Destiny's future content. However, there are many games around Destiny 2 right now that are going to be coming out over the next few months that are going to be significantly taking your attention. Mine too. And we covered this game. Normally in the past, I would always say Bungie's got to do something when their annual expansion finally comes out, when Shadowkeep comes out, Beyond Light, Forsaken. At this point though, things have got to occur before that. What I got from this thread though, is that a lot of the things that we're asking for really won't come into Witch Queen. And I'm hoping that it won't be too late by then. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching. And as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.